Hi everyone, it's Nick. Welcome back to my channel. Okay, in this video today, we are going to be talking about tiny obsessive details that make or break your home. These are those insane little details that only crazy people like me actually see. But I believe they make or break your design, right? These are mistakes that you might be making in your home and you might not be able to notice them, but an obsessive person that comes to your house would. And I think it's important that these actually do have some quality of life upgrades for you in your home. You just might not notice them, but now that I'm going to tell you about them, now you will. And this will make a huge impact to make your space feel better. Let's get going. Okay, but before I get to those small details in a home that make a big difference, I want to thank today's sponsor, which is Timeline by Mitopure, because I'm here in Amsterdam right now, and I actually brought these gummies all the way from Vancouver because I've been taking these gummies actually 2 a day now for quite a while and really been enjoying the effects. Now, I'm going to say right away, supplementation is very personal, so everybody needs to kind of feel what they feel comfortable with in terms of supplementing their existing diet. For me, I actually just started with a new family doctor, and I just got some blood work done, and these perfectly fit in with my lifestyle and sort of the age that I'm at, and it makes sense for me. So Mitopure is a patented, clinically proven form of urolithin A, which promotes healthy aging and muscle strength by triggering the natural renewal of mitochondria. So this helps sort of counteract the slowing down of mitochondria that occurs with age and the eventual decline in energy and muscle weakness that comes with it. And this isn't just really like a run-of-the-mill supplement company. It's backed by 15 years of research and 10 plus clinical studies and proven to increase muscle strength by up to 12% after 16 weeks of use without any actual even change in exercise. For me, I felt that this made sense for me at this time in order to supplement, and that's why I've been taking 2 of these gummies every day and really enjoying it. So if you think that this might be right for you, feel free to check out the website, check out the link in the description, and go ahead and check it out. So use my link below for 20% off your order of Timeline's longevity gummies. Just click on the link in the description down below. Thank you, Timeline by Mitopure, for sponsoring this video. Now let's get back to those small details that make a big difference. Okay, first on my list is going to be light switches, and I'm also going to say electrical plates in this same category. Okay, so here's the thing with electrical plates and light switches in general. Okay, make sure that they're all aligned. If I see some crooked light switch in your space, I'm going to notice it. Also consider material matters here. Yes, you can go for the plain old plastic ones. Of course you can. The white plastic ones, 60 cents at Home Depot, blah, blah, blah. Like, you could totally use those, and those are great. But if you want a little moment that really makes them feel special and they're really fun to use every single day, consider going something like a brass switch plate or some sort of maybe a chrome. Well, those are probably fingerprint magnets, but like something that is in a metal finish or in a different finish than as opposed to just a plain old plasticky one that you can get that again are like 60 cents. I know it feels silly because you're like, nobody noticed these things. Actually, you really do. The little electrical plates that are in there, it's such a worthwhile upgrade. Now, they are expensive. If you want to upgrade to something like a brass, like an unlacquered brass finish or something, they're gorgeous, but they are a big upgrade. But even if you don't want to go full on, just maybe replace the broken ones. Make sure they're not crooked. These little tiny mistakes really add up, right? If yours are looking like the smoker's teeth beige, it's time to maybe just spend that 60 cents, babe. I mean, I love that you're thrifty. I love that you grew up in the Great Depression and your waste not, want not attitude is wonderful and all, but they're like 60 cents to replace. I mean, feel free to throw them in with some like, unscrew them and throw them into a, some barkeeper's friend and see if you can get them back to white, or maybe just recycle those ones and call it as is. That one's up to you. But if they're beige, and again, beige is a great color, it's a fine color, but if it's white that's been stained beige, that's not the same thing, hun. So you need to find a place where you get new ones that are actually decently colored and non-stained. That's what we're asking for here. Make sure they're new or they look new, ideally with an upgraded material, bonus points there, and that they're all aligned in where they should be. Because if they're cracked or falling apart, it's a small detail, but we will notice it. Okay, next up on my list is going to be solid core doors, or just that little feeling of closing a high quality door in your own home, right? So yes, obviously, like, it's great to have, there's entrance doors, right? Your external doors, whatever, those are great too. But I'm mostly talking internal ones here. It's such an upgrade, and you don't think it matters because you're probably thinking a door is a door is a door, and you would be wrong. Actually, a door really comes in all sorts of shapes and sizes, and they are not all created equal. So some of them are hollow core, where you like give it a quick knock and it like pings. Okay, so that's probably made of, I don't know, feathers, styrofoam? No, it's not. It's actually just like basically like a plasticky or a vinyl or some sort of material, MDF or whatever, and then it's hollow inside because the manufacturer thinks that you don't actually really care what's inside your door because you didn't before you watched this video. And so you were like, okay, I'll just go for the cheapest one. And those are the cheapest ones, right? That makes sense. But if you're getting one with a solid core, Not necessarily solid wood, okay? Because that comes with its own issues around whatever, warping and all the rest of it, although you can do it because that's how doors were always made for a long, long time. But the solid core ones that they make now, they're usually just filled with a material that makes them, well, not hollow, makes them actually solid. And that's, again, like an MDF or something, but by being solid, it makes such a huge difference in terms of your space. Not only is it great for soundproofing, which is wonderful, because if you got lots of family kicking around all over the place, they're annoying, right? So you want to find a way to block out the sounds. So if you're in your bedroom and it's just you, you can shut the door and pretend your family doesn't exist. So if you want to do that, or the bathroom, because there's a lot going on in there, we want to make sure that we're sealing that in. Solid core is amazing for that. So great for soundproofing. So again, this isn't just about looking at things. This is also about the experience, and sound is included in that. But also just the feel. They feel weighty when you use them. When you're using solid core door, it just feels like it's got heft to it. And that is just a much nicer feel than using something that, you know, you can just whip around. If you close your door with one finger, it's probably hollow core. And in my opinion, they just kind of feel a little bit cheap and they don't feel as fun to use. It's a small detail. You wouldn't think of it. You're not going to think of it scrolling on Instagram because that's purely visual. But when you use it and feel it and have it in your own home, it makes a huge, huge difference. Even if you just prioritize those doors that are the bedroom doors and the bathroom doors, if you can't afford to do all the rest, still makes a huge difference. Okay, next up on my list that is a small detail is going to be like lumpy drywall. I like having really smooth drywall. It makes such a massive difference in a home. Here's where it matters. It matters at night, okay? So in the daytime, you won't probably even notice. And I'm not saying, by the way, you need to go out and get some super level 5 blah, blah, blah drywall that's like been super skimmed to perfection. It's an amazing, and obviously if you got the money for it, go for it. Like, but it's very expensive to get super polished drywall. And considering you're probably gonna hang stuff on your wall anyway, and then when it's done, you're gonna use that pink putty that we always use to just like seal up the holes. It's never gonna be perfect forever, okay? Life happens, things go on the walls, clocks that are broken, which you and I know both too well, although I don't bring it with me to Amsterdam. Here, when I travel with it, broken clocks, whatever, they're coming off the wall, they're going on the wall, right? So I'm not saying get this super fancy level 5 drywall necessarily, but I am saying that there is a point when your wall's particularly lumpy and it's becoming a bit of an issue around paint and wallpaper and stuff, again, at night. So in the daytime, you might not notice, right? It covers a lot of things. Daylight covers a lot of things. But once it turns nighttime and you've got your lamps on and their lights bouncing around the place in interesting ways, you're gonna start to notice lumpy drywall. Here's the thing, I had my old apartment when I was leaving as a renter, and I like hung up a bunch of stuff that needed some pretty weighty anchors. And so it was time to go. And of course, me being the great tenant that I was like, okay, I better patch these up. So I sat there and kind of like patched them up roughly. And then my friend came over and was like, oh, you did a really good job here. And I was like, thanks. And he's like, did you do a really good job here? And he got out his flashlight on his phone. He went, zzz, and like, it was hilarious. That thing was so wavy and bumpy. It was quite tragic. And again, you wouldn't notice by day, but at night when you had a flashlight, like just the way the light hits these lumps on the wall makes a massive difference. And I think it's worth doing it properly. So in the end, of course, I didn't care because my walkthrough with my landlord was in the daytime, so he didn't notice anything. And I was already gone by the time anybody noticed. So I'm generally a pretty good tenant, but you know, I have my limits. Anyway, so I would recommend that if you are going to do patch jobs, do them properly. If it's beyond saving, you may want to consider replacing some of the drywall. How do you do that? I don't know. This is YouTube. Go figure it out. I'm not the one to tell you. Do I look like a lesbian? I don't know how to solve that problem for you. You know, they're great at everything. I'm not. I know to tell you lumpy drywall looks bad. I don't know how to necessarily tell you how to fix it. Please search other people on YouTube for that. But yeah, fix your drywall. Make sure it's smooth. When you're dealing with wallpaper, whatever, all these imperfections are going to be noticeable if you don't do it right. Okay, next subtle, tiny, nitpicky detail that only I would ever notice is going to be mitered edges on your tile. Okay, so this is versus the Schluter trim that builders typically will put you in. So here's the thing, I love contractors, I love builders. You guys know I do, because again, you do things that I obviously cannot do. But I don't know why people insist on the Schluter trim for especially their showers, and it just always looks bad. It never looks good. So I would consider going the extra mile and getting the mitered trim on your stone, or whether that's your tile or whatever you're doing. So here's what we're talking about, okay? When you get to a corner in your shower or in your bathroom, whatever, in your tile, and you know, especially those shower niches, you know, where you put your shampoo bottles and all the rest of it, right? Those little shelves, the ledges, all those sorts of things, those are great. Those are wonderful, very functional. We love them. but it's generally a lot more expensive, and it's going to be a lot more time consuming and more challenging for your tiler to actually miter the edges of the tile to make sure that it's like super seamless and beautiful on the corner there. The easiest thing for them to do is to buy this little silver metal trim, sometimes it's black, whatever, and just cover up the corner. And that is obviously going to be cheaper and easier, but it's also ugly too. So I would say that spend the extra time, do that little bit of a detail. It just is going to look so much better. And especially with this one, because some of the other ones I mentioned here are like, you can always figure it out later, but this is not something, if you're doing a bathroom renovation or a new build, you're already blowing so much money in this thing anyway. This is not a detail that you want to skimp out on. This is something you're going to notice every single day. And now that I've told you, and you're going to look at your fluted trim in the bathroom and you're going to be like, no, I can't unsee it. Now you're going to have to fix it. And no one wants to do that after the fact. So this is one of those things that do it right the first time, because you will regret it later. Okay, next up on my list is actually much easier to solve if you have this. You're not taking down drywall, you're not mitering edges, okay? And that is cord visibility, okay? So this is a small detail that is so often overlooked that people don't realize. But some people, I think it's just because we have like cord blindness. Is that a term I'm just made up? I think it is. And that is that we have so many cords in our frickin' lives that we just don't even see them anymore. They just like blend in as part of the decor. I think it's important that we resensitize ourselves to how ugly cords are, because, you know, big tech has taken over our lives and they've just added so many cords all over the place, and I'm just tired of it. Like, if you can find a way to cover them up. Now, obviously, if you want to go full on, in which case you want to like bury your cords inside the wall, I love it. First of all, you're exactly my type of person. If you're mounting the television and someone says, we could just trickle the cord down the bottom here, or we can stuff it in and put the cord inside the wall and it comes out the bottom, you know, where your little PlayStation is and all the rest of it inside your media console, for me, I'm in. So that's like my ideal. But even if you can't do that, because you're just like, okay, whatever, Nick, that's just not possible because I don't know how to do that, don't have the money, don't have the time, don't have the patience, don't have whatever, that's cool. Get a cord cover, babes. Like, go into Amazon. These are like $8, and you can just do a little trim that is going to be better. Bonus points if you painted out the color of your wall, okay? So if you have a green wall and then you have a big white trim, come on now, what is this, amateur hour? I want you to paint that out the same color, leftover green paint that you have sitting in the garage, okay? I want you to take that, paint over the cover thingy, the cord cover, and that way it all mixes and meshes together, and you're gonna do your best to make it look invisible, okay? Because obviously the ideal is no cord at all, which again, stuff inside the wall, or stuff behind the TV. I've seen little plans like that, and that's always fun, but that's obviously extensive and a lot of work. But if you can paint them out, so much the better. Like, it just is going to be better than going with dangly, stupid, ugly cords. I don't care if the cords are black, I don't care if the cords are white, I don't care, they're all ugly. They just hide them as best you can, right? And that is just the way, it's a small detail. Most people wouldn't notice. Most people would come in and just be like, yeah, it's a house, whatever. They would notice your lamps, they would notice your Sonos speakers, they notice your whatever, your PlayStation, all the rest of all your crap out there. And they would go, okay, yeah, fine, that's fine. They wouldn't notice it. But when you really stop and take a look, there's cords everywhere and they're all ugly. They just take away from the whole experience. And since you can't Photoshop them out like you can photos on Instagram, you're gonna have to hide them, and that's really your best strategy here. Okay, next up on my list is going to be little details, is going to be the tile that actually stops where it's supposed to and isn't tiled to nowhere, what I call tile to nowhere. So sometimes I feel like people start tiling their backsplash and then they get to the edge of the wall, or not even the wall, they get to the edge of the countertop and they're like, I don't really know where to end the tile. So they put one of the dreaded Schluter trims, like I mentioned, or they just kind of like stop. They don't really know where to go. And it's like, nope, it really needs to go to the edge of the cabinetry, or ideally to the edge of the wall if you have it. Creating these tiles to nowhere that just sort of like keep going on and on into the ether forever and never actually make it to their destination, they never look good, okay? So I think the goal here is to make sure that it's intentional, that whatever tiling you're doing goes to where you need it to go, which is, again, going to be some sort of natural break, whether that's going to be where the cabinet ends, or whether that's going to be until the wall, or it's going to end until you get to an appliance maybe, or some cabinetry, which is great, like some tall cabinetry. That is so much better than just sort of drifting off into nowhere and then ending your tile because you didn't know what to do. And again, the shoulder trim is not the answer, but I do think that finding a natural break that makes sense for that room is what you're looking for. That's true for the kitchen, it's true for the bathroom, and I think it's a small detail because people don't normally consider, or they think no one's gonna notice if they just sort of tiled until they just stopped. It sort of looks like you ran out of tile, is what it looks like. It looks like you just kind of got to the edge and you're like, I could go back to Lowe's, or I can just stop here and I don't think anybody's gonna notice. And unfortunately we can notice. So definitely be intentional when you're mapping out where all your tile is gonna go in your kitchen and bathrooms. Okay, next small detail that is obsessive that people like me will notice is going to be the height of your curtains. Now, I see a lot of debate. Most controversial TikTok I ever did was when I talked about curtains to the ceiling, because I think curtains should be maybe not quite to the ceiling, because some people really took it right out of hand and put it like literally like on the ceiling, but like it definitely should be closer to your ceiling than it should be to the edge of the window. Okay, so up there is where the answer is, because I think that the top being so low, it just is going to stunt your ceiling, and it's just going to make your walls and your ceilings and everything look lower than they actually are. By bringing them up closer to the ceiling, it's immediately going to trick the eye into thinking your ceilings are much taller than they actually are. So by having them really stubby and low, it's going to stunt, and it's really just going to not look good. And so I think the best thing is to go higher. Maybe not all, people took it really, like, what are you hanging them from the roof now? Like, people took it a little too literally, but like quite high, almost to the ceiling, is going to be your best bet. Also, subtle detail that people might not notice is going to be make sure that your curtains go to the floor. Now, obviously, like I said in a previous video, don't light them on fire if you got a radiator down there, okay? I'm not a firefighter. I'm not sitting here trying to give you fire safety tips. I don't know if you got confused on your way to this channel, but just, you know, don't puddle them to a point where it's going to be a hazard. But I do think in general, for most windows, they should go to the floor, okay? They shouldn't do the puppet show that looks silly and stupid. That looks not fun, and it looks not great. And so I think putting them just to the windowsill and then stopping, no, we're gonna go full length, okay? We're gonna go right to the bottom. Now, if you're like, but I do have a radiator down there, I do have this, look at other shade options. Look at Roman shades are a great solution. Like, there are other options out there rather than burning your house down. And so I encourage you to give those a Google, because those are great options as well. But still, regardless, I would say for most windows, I would go higher up than you probably think you should and lower down than you probably think you should, probably to the floor. And that's going to be your best bet. It's subtle. People don't notice it. People don't think about it very too much. They're just kind of like, okay, the curtains are curtains. Just buy the curtains and let it go. It's once you see it, you can't unsee it when it's done improperly. Okay, next on my list, because you know it wouldn't be a Nick Lewis video without mentioning, is gonna be lighting. We're talking about warm versus cool light bulbs. And listen, I obviously have gone on record to say that I don't think that your house should look like a dentist office, right? I don't think you should have 4 million cool toned recessed pot lights sitting in your face, blinding everybody as soon as they walk in. It's overkill, it's overdone, and it makes everybody look absolutely ghastly. Okay, so that is not the solution, okay? I am generally more in favor. I have been fighting this fight for years. I feel like we've rounded a corner on the warm light bulbs now. I don't know if it's just my algorithms reassuring what I already know, which is that warmer is more flattering on people. It makes everything look better. It looks better just in general. It casts a nice glow. Everybody looks wonderful when you have warm lighting on. Now, but I would also say that more important even than that is going to be to make sure that your lighting temperature is consistent. I am a broken record, but y'all didn't listen, so I have to tell you again, because I go for walks with my dog in the evening and I look up and go like, really? You thought having a beautiful warm light in your lamp with the garage lighting in the ceiling was going to look great? Like, I don't know why you thought that a muddle lighting was going to be the solution for you. I can encourage you that it is not. So make sure that your lighting is consistent. So if you have everything on like a Philips Hue or a Lutron situation, even easier, because you just go to boop, boop, boop on your phone and you can have everything be the same color. That's wonderful. But if you don't, just buy the light bulbs that are the same. Go for 3000 Kelvin, go for 2700 if you want to go even warmer, whatever. 3000 is a pretty safe choice. But if you're throwing in 4000 plus Kelvin and you're like mixing all your different color temperatures because you think a light bulb is a light bulb is a light bulb, then I'm sorry, you are incorrect. And it's a small detail because you're just shopping for light bulbs thinking, how hard can this be? And now all of a sudden you're learning about lumens and watts and all sorts of things. So it's a small detail because you don't think about it, but you should, because matching your lighting temperature, preferably warmer, is going to make or break your space. I can guarantee it. This is the number one thing. The number one, honestly, if people say to me, what is the one thing, Nick, that you can do to your space before you buy anything? What is the one thing that you should do to upgrade your space, no matter what style you have, what do you have in your home, blah, blah, blah. upgrade your lighting. Upgrade your lighting, get warm, consistent lighting temperature, and ideally probably more table lamps and floor lamps than you think you need. Right away, even if you got everything else from the cheapest of cheap, and it doesn't matter, you inherited a bunch of crap from your grandma or something that you can't stand, it doesn't matter, it'll look better if you just do that. Okay, next on my list is going to be door hardware, okay? So we talked about doors earlier, we're talking a lot about metals here, but I really wanna talk about door hardwares that match. Small detail, huge difference, okay? Most people just think a door handle is a door handle. It isn't, okay? This is a small detail that, again, I'm obsessive. Like, I admit it, I'm a little nuts about this stuff, right? But if you just consider matching the metals for all of your door handles in the entire home, you're gonna be a lot happier. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes I think people, oops, my door handle broke, or it's a little jiggly, or it's a little whatever, and then they just go and they buy another one, and they buy the one that's on sale, or they don't really think too much about it. And over time, it's really going to be inconsistent in your home, and it's going to make a massive difference in order for how the room feels. It's just going to feel really cheap when you go from room to room and it's in a different style and a different finish, whatever. Just make all of your, keep it simple, okay? Just make all your door handles match in the entire home, okay? So if one breaks, then buy the same one over again. At least buy it in the same finish, okay? So if you have brushed nickel, go for it. If you have brushed nickel and then you replace it with matte black because you did a bathroom renovation and you went all in on the matte black 2021 trend and you were like, I need matte black everything, but everything else in your house is already brushed nickel, this is where things can get a little bit out of hand. I think you're better off choosing the same finish and doing it for all the internal door hardware for your entire space. That's what I think you should do. Pick a finish. I'm not a big fan of the whole metal trends, right? If you want to know the hot ones of the moment, chrome is big right now. Unlacquered brass is big right now. Polished nickel is a timeless choice, but it is also really hot right now. These are the hot metals, but who really cares? If you like oil rub bronze, go for it. If you love matte black, great. If you even love, dare I say, rose gold, may she rest in peace, 2016, then, you know, you just do you and just have fun with it. Pick your metal and you're good to go. Okay, next up is going to be, this one's a big one for me, which is going to be your baseboards and your trim, specifically looking at the size of your baseboards and your trim. Now, listen, if you're going for some sort of Japan Zen look and you're like, I don't need baseboards at all, and you want that look because you saw it on Instagram and you think, well, it was great there, so it must be good here too. That's great. You need to be really, like if you've got a concrete floor, polished concrete, and then you've got no baseboard and you just want everything to be absolutely perfect down there, then that's great for you. It's obsessive, it's tricky, it's gonna be a lot of work. It's not that easy to make that look, to pull it off. Because here's also the like dirty little secret about baseboards. They're just kind of meant to kind of cover, like they just sort of cover the fact that it's where the flooring and the wall meet. And so by putting a baseboard there, you're just sort of covering it. So like if you ever actually take your baseboards off and see how like crazy looking your floor, your hardwood floors are in terms of how they match and even out, that's what they're there for. They're there just kind of, they cover all sins, that's what's good about the baseboard. But here's the thing, not all baseboards are created equal. So yes, a baseboard, you can just go and get whatever one you want. But going for a taller baseboard, one with a little bit more substance. Again, we're not going for the Japandi look. If you want that, that's different. But if you want to go, you have a traditional home, a transitional home, whatever, and you're just looking for a nice, beautiful baseboard that is going to make sense for your home, consider going for something a little bit taller, okay? Going for a 5-inch baseboard, it might be a little bit taller than what you might be expecting, but overall, I think it just gives a lot more weight and substance in the room. It just grounds the whole space and makes it look really beautiful and luxurious. It used to be that bigger homes, and this is still kind of true, is that like the bigger the space, the larger you can sort of get away with some of your baseboards. If you're going for an apartment, people thought that you kind of had to go smaller. But I think a lot of even just smaller apartments or townhouses, I still see more and more people going in with taller baseboards. And I think it does look better. I do think it looks more luxurious. I'm not talking anything completely obscene. So obviously within reason, but going for a taller, heftier baseboard, even one with an interesting edge profile, that's really, that was a whistle, but it didn't actually happen. Let's do that again. No, anyway. Listen, you know what I mean? Like that is really nice. If you're going for a nice, beautiful edge profile that matches your design style, fabulous. If you want something modern, go with something with a little tiny little recess in there. That's gorgeous. Or do none at all. That works too. You could do a nice flat stock. That also works. If you want to go for something with more like a French curve or something with a little bit more sort of shape and detail on it because you want something a little bit more traditional, that's fun too. There's lots of cool baseboards out there, but I would go bigger than you think, more interesting than you think, because that's going to make a huge detail. It's small. No one notices baseboards. Everybody just thinks that you have to clean baseboards, and that's really not what they just, accept the baseboards that they're given. But I say no, you're better than that. You can find an interesting, cool baseboard that's really gonna upgrade your space. It's small, it's a tiny detail. No one else is gonna care, but I will. And you soon will too. You're gonna find yourself looking at more people's baseboards, I think. Okay, that's it for my video, guys. I hope you really enjoyed this video. I'm gonna link here to another video for you that I think that you would enjoy. So go check that one out, and I will see you all in the next video. Thanks a lot. Bye.